It is a pleasure to be here with you today. It's a pleasure to be in Germany. Germany is one of my favorite countries in Europe. Fortunately, my wife was able to join me on this trip, and she's here with me in Hamburg, and she has fallen in love with this city. So it is a beautiful city where it's a pleasure to be here with you today. So as Axel said, my name is John Mellor, and I run the Strategy and Business Development Group at Adobe. So it's my job to help organize the strategy of the business and to help evangelize what we're seeing evolve among our customers around the world. And that's what I want to talk about today. So we're going to spend a lot of time today talking about experience. And we're going to spend time talking about how experience is changing how consumers interact with the brands and the products and the services that they consume from those brands. Now, I think to understand what is driving this experience wave, this experience business, and this change of how consumers are interacting with brands, I don't think we have to get too academic. In fact, I think we can just look at our own lives and the lives of our friends and our families and think about how we use technology today to interact with these brands. Think about how many times you're accessing information digitally on your phone. Think about how many times you're buying products through your computer, through a website. Think about how you expect those products and services that you buy to interact and integrate into your life. I think that's what's driving the fact that enterprises around the world are having to shift and transition so much of what they do because us, as consumers, are changing how we interact with brands. So I wanted to share an experience with you that I've had over the last 24 months that I think highlights a lot of what I'm experiencing and what I think you're experiencing in terms of the experiences we expect from products. So over the last 24 months, we've been building a home. And this may be something that many of you have done. You've gone through building a home or remodeling a condo, and it is not a good experience. In fact, even when it is good, it is bad. It is a challenging experience. But let me tell you what struck me over these last 24 months in this process is how experience-oriented I have become in the mundane products that I select for my home, right? Things like smoke detectors, thermostats, door locks, even the sprinkler system for the garden. It's no longer about just do those products technically work. It's not about whether or not the thermostat accurately reads the temperature and lets me change the temperature accurately. It's about how all of those things integrate into my life. It's about how well can I manage my home and the thermostats in my home while I'm on the road. It's about, do the door locks allow me to unlock the door maybe when I'm coming home? Or if I've left home and I've forgotten to lock the doors, can I log on to the app and lock the doors remotely? For the sprinkler system, even that type of functionality isn't enough. I expect the sprinkler system to connect via internet to the weather, and if a storm is coming, to not water the lawn because I don't want to overwater. All of these types of experiences are what are driving my decision criteria for the products that I buy. And I think you're probably all experiencing this in your own lives. And I think of the process of car buying. I mean, we'll learn from Mercedes later today that how consumers are shopping for and buying cars is changing. The things that they put priority on are not just the metal and the craftsmanship of the vehicle. It's the services and the experience around the vehicle. I think how people are shopping for and buying insurance for that car are changing. How people are shopping for and buying the maintenance products for those cars. How do I buy the oil to change the oil in my car? That process is changing. So I know that this is a very common trend across the world. It's happening in New York, it's happening in Sydney, it's happening in Shanghai, it's happening in Hamburg. This is the level of conversation that we're seeing go on at the enterprise level. And the point is that consumer expectations are changing. It's no longer about just the products. They want the product, and they want the product integrated into their lives. And each of us has an individual product or service that we're trying to promote in our organizations. But our job is now to help integrate those into the lives of the consumers that are shopping for and buying those. And this is really a big deal. This is a major trend that we're seeing, because it means that organizations have to transform not just their technology, but they have to transform the people. They have to look at who they're hiring, how they're training these people. They have to look at how they're organizing their teams, how they're incenting their teams. They even have to look at processes and changing processes within the enterprise to be more centered around the consumer experience. So today I'm going to share a little bit about Adobe's vision for the technology and our commitment to you to help all of you transform to meet the changing expectations of consumers. Because ultimately, we all need to become an experience business. So we believe that we're at a pivotal time in technology. We know that there's more content, there's more data, there's more devices, there's more channels than there ever have been before. And it's our job in this room to make sense of that. And I think one of the most frustrating things about being a marketer or being in enterprise IT, being a technologist in this time, one of the most frustrating things is that the consumer does not care how hard it is for us. They don't care how hard it is for us to make IT systems, talk to marketing systems, talk to customer support systems. All they want is a well-integrated experience with your product and service. And this need to transform these complex back-end systems into systems that can speak across devices and across channel and be available 24/7 is really put us on the cusp of a tectonic shift in enterprise transformation. And we think it's one of the biggest shifts that's happened over the last 50 years. We think there have been two previous waves that have happened over the last 50 years that have driven this level of transformation in an enterprise, but we're now entering the third. So before I describe the third, I want to give you just a little bit of context about the previous two, because I think it helps set up where we are today. The first wave, excuse me, we'll call the back office wave. Right? This happened back in the 60s when the big companies were manufacturing companies. They were production driven. Their processes were quite slow and error prone. And when they realized that they could, when the technology became available, and then they realized that they could connect the departments within an organization digitally, they saw incredible efficiencies. When they realized, for example, that they could connect their loading dock and their inventory system with their accounts receivable and their accounts payable system, and then connect that to their selling system, they realized such major efficiencies that the people that jumped on this wave had a competitive advantage for decades over their peers. This is what we now know today as the ERP or the MRP wave, right? So for about 20 years, ERP and MRP gave companies a real competitive advantage of their peer set. But now ERP and MRP are not a competitive differentiator, because I would guess that every one of us in our organizations has an ERP or MRP system that's baked into the fabric. So it's no longer something new and something different. So let's fast forward about 20 years to the 80s and the 90s. This was the second wave. So this was what we'll call the front office wave, which today most of us would think of as the CRM wave. So this was about how enterprises connected their sales teams to their customers. and help to drive more efficient processes for selling goods and selling services. It's amazing to think that only 20 years ago, the Rolodex, that big wheel of paper cards that salespeople would scribble notes on, that was the most powerful tool that a salesperson had. And now nobody uses Rolodexes anymore. They use digital systems. I hope nobody uses Rolodexes anymore. They use digital systems that connect salespeople to their customers and to their prospects. And that's how they manage those relationships. Companies that adopted CRM back in the 80s and 90s realized competitive advantage over those companies that did not. And that competitive advantage lasted for a couple of decades. But now, again, the competitive differentiator of CRM has gone away because we all use CRM in how we communicate with or how we sell products and manage customers. So today, we believe we're at the cusp of the third wave of digital transformation. And this is what we call the experience business wave. This wave builds on the previous two, and it's similar because it's driven by technology, but that's really where the similarities end, right? The big difference of the first two waves to the third wave is the first two waves were about the enterprise. They were about us and how we could become more efficient in our own processes. The customer didn't really see the impact of the first and second wave. But the third wave of experience business is not about us. It's about the consumer. It's about enterprises needing to become experience obsessed. So let's talk about this a bit. We believe this is really, this new wave puts the customer in charge. And we've developed what we think are the four pillars, or the scorecard, if you will, of how a customer will judge whether or not we are a good experience business. So I want to talk about what this means. So the first is the consumers will demand that you know me and you respect me. Consumers want us to anticipate, to predict, and to deliver things that they want even before they know they want them. And they want us to do that in a privacy-compliant way that values their security, but they're assuming that regardless of how we interact with them, that we are using the data that we get from them to anticipate and make their experience better. Second is consumers expect us to speak to them in one voice. The consumer does not care about our organization chart. The consumer doesn't care that the marketing department may be different than the customer service department, which is different than the product development department, which is different than the sales department. They want all of the communications that we deliver, that an enterprise delivers to that consumer, to speak to them in one voice, in a consistent voice. Third, they want us to make technology transparent. They want us to blend our products and services into how they are living their life. They don't want us to force artificial technology into their life when it's not absolutely necessary. And last, the customer wants to be delighted at every turn. The customer wants innovation. We believe we all know about Moore's Law, which says that the speed of computers will double every 18 months. Well, we think there's an experience law that says that the experience that a customer expects from a brand will double every 18 months. So what you do today will be table stakes and won't be enough tomorrow. So now that I've depressed you and made you think that, oh my gosh, there's no way in the world we can ever achieve all four of these pillars, I'll tell you that there are very bright spots And in our customer base, we see many customers who are delivering on the experience business value proposition within parts of their business. All of our customers are aspiring to this level, and we're seeing many of them deliver substantial parts of it already. For example, thank you very much. For example, the Royal Bank of Scotland, one of our customers here in Europe, they have transformed a process, a paper-based mortgage process, from 10 days to 24 hours. So this was a process that required filling out a lot of documents, putting things in the post, waiting for things to come back. Using Adobe technology, they've been able to digitize that process, the signature process, to collapse that down from 10 days to 24 hours. Franca Kitchen Systems, another Europe customer, has transformed how they're selling kitchen systems and turned into a virtual reality experience for how they present products, allowing them to get to market more quickly and allowing their dealers to get to market more quickly so that they can show the latest and greatest products. Companies like Uber are delivering a consistent experience from city to city around the world using Adobe products to make brand content consistent across these different regions. And Adobe is committed to all of you to be your partner as you deliver on this experience business. And Adobe has always been about empowering people. Our goal is to give you the tools that you need to bring your ideas to life. Whether it's creating beautiful content and experiences in Creative Cloud with products like Photoshop and Illustrator and Premiere, or replacing old paper-based systems with new digital systems with Adobe Document Cloud and products like Acrobat and PDF. Or, of course, how do you measure, optimize, and deliver great experiences using the Adobe Marketing Cloud with products like Adobe Analytics or Experience Manager or Campaign. And recently, just 2 weeks ago, we announced our machine learning and artificial intelligence framework that sits across all of these clouds. And this framework is called Sensei, to allow you to push intelligence deeply into the experiences that you deliver. So Adobe's innovation agenda is how do we bring these three clouds together so that you can use them in a seamless way to deliver a great experience. That is our technology commitment to you. But in something as big as digital transformation, I can tell you that technology is only part of the puzzle. We're all transforming our technology, but we're also transforming people. Each of us in this room is feeling the need to transform ourselves individually. We're seeing our jobs change quarter on quarter and year on year. And understanding how to manage that change personally is a big part of why we're here today. Because as much as we will talk about technology, I'll also encourage you to talk to your peers, to talk to the people to your left and your right and in front and behind you. Because you'll find that most of these individuals are in the same situation you're in. They're trying to understand how to transform themselves and how to transform their teams. What sort of training should they make available to their teams? How should they organize their teams? How should they incent their teams? There's also a lot of change going on in process. We see processes that need to change, and these are organizational processes, many times dealing with how companies are organized and basic incentive systems in organizations. So today is really about all three. We're not going to just talk about technology. We're going to talk about people and process. Because I think it is a fascinating time to be a consumer. We started out talking about how we don't have to look much further than our own lives to think about how digital is disrupting the world of enterprises. And as fascinating as it is to be a consumer, it's also a fascinating time to be a marketer and to be an IT professional in an enterprise that is driving experience business. Now, Adobe is committed to being your partner across that journey. We'll help you with technology, we'll help you with insights, and we'll help you connect with others that can help you on that journey. And we want to give you stories that will inspire you and will teach you and show you pockets of greatness that are happening among customers.